Title: The Last Mission of the Knights Templar. The year was 1307, and the Knights Templar were at the height of their power. In castles across Europe, they held vast wealth, guarded secrets, and wielded influence over kings and popes alike. But beneath their armor, rumors spread, whispers of betrayal from the very monarchs they once served. Our story begins on a misty autumn morning in northern France, where a Templar commander named Sir Guillaume de Montclair gathered his most trusted men at the fortress of La Roche. Guillaume was a veteran knight, a man of quiet faith and steel resolve, hardened by Crusades in the Holy Land. "Brothers," Guillaume said, his voice cutting through the cold air, "King Philip has turned against us. Tonight, the king's soldiers will come for every Templar in the realm. We've sworn our vows to defend the order and the sacred artifacts in our care. Our mission is clear: we must deliver the Grail of Aurelian, hidden deep within the abbey at Saint Michel, to a safe place before they reach us." The Grail of Aurelian was not a cup, as legends often told, but an ancient reliquary, a small golden box containing a relic said to have healing powers. If it fell into the hands of King Philip, the order's greatest secret would be lost, and their honor defiled. Guillaume's task was dangerous: to ride through hostile lands, avoid royal patrols, and reach a remote monastery near the Pyrenees Mountains where the relic would be safe. Guillaume's team was small but capable. There was Sir Etienne, an expert swordsman who fought with unmatched ferocity, Brother Alan, a healer who knew the old ways of medicine, and young Brother Thomas, the squire, eager but inexperienced. Their only advantage was speed, riding under the cover of darkness with the hope of outpacing the king's soldiers. The ride through the forest. The knights left La Roche before dawn, galloping through dense woods, the horses' hooves muffled by the soft ground. Guillaume knew that the king's agents would search the main roads first, so he led his men down hidden trails known only to hunters and smugglers. The forest seemed to close in around them, with shadows stretching long and silence filling the air. By dusk, they reached a narrow river crossing where they stopped to rest briefly. As they watered the horses, Brother Thomas asked, "Commander, do you think the stories are true? That the Grail can heal any wound?" Guillaume, kneeling by the riverbank, glanced at the young squire. "We are not called to understand the mysteries we protect, only to guard them. That is faith." Before Thomas could respond, a sharp whistle broke the stillness. Guillaume's head snapped up. From the far bank, a dozen soldiers emerged, swords drawn. The king's men had found them. "Ambush!" shouted Sir Etienne, drawing his long sword. The ambush at the river. The knights had no choice but to fight. Guillaume and Etienne charged forward, clashing with the soldiers in the shallow water, the cold splash mingling with the heat of battle. Blades scraped against armor, and shouts echoed through the forest. Etienne fought like a man possessed, cutting down 3 soldiers in quick succession. Brother Alan stood behind, tending wounds and protecting the relic, while Thomas held his small dagger nervously, waiting for a chance to help. Guillaume parried a blow aimed at his chest and struck back with precision, felling another attacker. But the Templars were outnumbered, and fatigue crept in. Just as it seemed the battle would turn against them, Thomas spotted a soldier sneaking toward Brother Alan, sword raised. Without thinking, the young squire lunged, tackling the man to the ground. "You're learning fast, boy," Guillaume said with a grim smile as Thomas scrambled back to his feet. With a final push, the knights drove the remaining soldiers back, forcing them to retreat. Bloodied but alive, the Templars regrouped. A betrayal revealed. As the knights bandaged their wounds and prepared to ride again, Guillaume noticed something troubling. One of the fallen soldiers wore a pendant, a Templar cross. He knelt and examined it closely. "These were not just soldiers," Guillaume murmured. "They were men of the order. Traitors in our midst." Etienne's eyes darkened. "How could our own brothers betray us?" Guillaume stood, gripping the relic tightly. "King Philip's gold is strong. Not all men can resist the weight of temptation." They could not dwell on the betrayal. With every moment, more soldiers would close in. The only hope was to reach Saint Michel before it was too late. The final stand at Saint Michel. After 2 more days of hard riding, the knights finally saw the Abbey of Saint Michel rising from the mist like a vision of hope. Its stone towers stood high above the surrounding marshlands, a place where even the king's soldiers feared to tread. But as they approached the gates, Guillaume's worst fear became reality. A royal detachment had already reached the abbey. Dozens of soldiers stood ready to storm the gates. Behind them, Guillaume spotted the traitor, one of their own commanders, Sir Robert, a man they had once called brother. Robert sneered, holding up the king's writ. "Surrender the relic, Guillaume. Spare yourself a useless death." Guillaume met his gaze without flinching. A Templar dies on his feet, not on his knees. Knowing the odds were grim, the knights drew their weapons for what they knew might be their final battle. "For the order," Guillaume roared as they charged. The clash was brutal. Etienne fought with the fury of a lion, cutting through enemy ranks until he was overwhelmed. Brother Alan, though untrained in combat, defended the relic until his last breath. Even young Thomas fought with surprising courage, though he was eventually struck down. In the end, only Guillaume remained. Wounded but defiant, he stood atop the abbey's steps, the relic clutched in his hand. Sir Robert approached, sword raised, but before he could strike the final blow, Guillaume whispered a prayer, and then shattered the grail of Aurelian against the stone steps. Golden light erupted from the broken reliquary, blinding everyone. In that moment, Guillaume felt a strange peace wash over him. The relic's power, released into the world, would never be used for greed or control. It would remain a mystery, as it was always meant to be. Epilogue. When the light faded, the soldiers found only empty armor where Guillaume had stood. No sign of the relic or the knight remained. Word of the Templars' final stand spread throughout the land, becoming legend. Though the order was officially disbanded and many of its members captured or killed, tales of the knights who defied kings and protected sacred mysteries would live on. Some say that on quiet autumn nights, when the mist rolls over San Michel, you can still hear the faint echo of hoofbeats and the clang of steel, a reminder that honor, once given, cannot be taken. The story of the Knights Templar did not end that day. It simply became a part of history's endless tapestry, waiting for those brave enough to seek the truth hidden in the shadows. And perhaps, somewhere, the spirit of Guillaume de Montclair still watches over those who carry the torch of faith, duty, and sacrifice.